So Dogpack404, famously known for the expose he put out on MrBeast, which is now at 8.3 million views, is going on a bit of a media tour. He's gone on to, I believe, Cheetos and had an interview with Oompaville and now with Ludwig as well. The reason I'm doing this one is because I saw a lot of people kind of arguing back and forth in regard to like what was going on with this video. There were claims that Ludwig was just trying to save MrBeast's ass, people saying that Dogpack was intentionally being difficult just so that he wouldn't have to answer questions. So I want to take a look at their interview as objectively as possible and just figure out what was actually going on. So Ludwig was doing a live stream last night, and a lot of his followers were complaining because they wanted him to be covering the MrBeast situation. And he was kind of arguing back and forth with them as they go on, kind of being like, I don't need to cover this. I got my bread. Like, there's no point in it for me, yada, yada. And then his chat convinces him to watch the video anyway. So as he's covering the video, he's just kind of picking at it here and there, producing some lukewarm takes as he goes, but it's very clear he hasn't watched much of the content here. And this is kind of his first time really getting into watching the video. Well, in the midst of going through this video, Dogpack shows up in the comments.
To successfully run a contest or a sweepstakes.
Oh, wait, the guy's in chat right now. Everything is allegedly. Wait, what do you mean everything's allegedly? Some things aren't allegedly, right? Some things you have like evidence, right? Or is this like lawyer speak or something? In the video for legal reasons. Okay.
So yeah, he's just saying that everything's alleged so that he can save his hide, and I don't blame him. He's going to go on later to talk about the fact that he spoke with his lawyer about this video, and he's saying that he spoke with his lawyer and went out of their way to make sure that everything that's contained in the video is public knowledge.
Yeah, but that doesn't help us. Let me know if you have questions. Well, no, because look, I get why you had to say everything's allegedly, but like some things I think you have evidence for and some things you don't have evidence for. But I'm curious, like, so like the yacht for the raft one, is that alleged or was there a yacht? Okay, so we're going to cover this yacht question more when he actually starts interviewing him in a Discord call. But for the sake of right now, Dogpack kind of does something a little silly. So they go back and forth. He's talking about the yacht, and he says, just look at the evidence. He hits him with a Chucky didn't deny it in regard to Chucky responding to the video that Dogpack put out, not making any mention of the fact that these people were on a yacht during the raft video. So he says to defend himself, well, Chucky didn't deny it. That's really stupid. Like that is a non-argument. It doesn't prove anything. That is the equivalent to like someone hopping in my comments and like, hello, Quintio. Question, do you put bananas in your butt? And because I don't see it, because there's a bunch of other comments, or I just choose not to respond to it, I get added in a Twitter thread in a week, finding out that I myself have been accused of having bananas in... Matter of fact, I do that, but that's not evidence, right? Like, you can't prove that. Point being, I think Ludwig has made it very apparent that he actually hasn't watched any of the, MrBeast drama really going on. For Dogpack to kind of just like, we'll figure it out. Like, it's not helpful to anyone. It just makes him look like a troll, and it makes him look less credible. Okay, last important thing before they jumped in a call on Discord, Dogpack called Ludwig a bozo and he got butthurt. The evidence is no one is on the boat, bozo. Why are you yelling at me? You said if you have questions, ask. What the hell? Why you gotta call me a bozo? Hey, chill.
Okay, but the actually last significant part of their little interaction here is Dogpack made a joke again in regard to the fact that he was on shrooms. He's made this joke multiple times. I think he's kind of doing it enough times and saying it isn't true and saying it is true enough so that if he were to get into, some sort of legal trouble with this, they wouldn't be able to use it and provide it as like solid evidence because he's confirmed and denied the fact that he's done it. Of course, confirming it was sarcasm, but in terms of the law, that would mean that you can't use his testimony as credit. From what I know from watching TV shows, so take that with a grain of salt. But he also says, are you controlled opposition working for Beast? This is a thing he's gonna say repeatedly, and look, I don't disagree that there very well could be, and that Chucky was an example of somebody who was a controlled opposition for MrBeast. Obviously, he works for the company, but the point Dogpack's making is, okay, you're just, feigning naivety about the situation, when in actuality, you're either helping MrBeast and pointing out things that, and just trying to make it look better for MrBeast, and that's all you're here for. This isn't actually your opinion. You're just trying to, help a buddy out. So to accuse somebody of being controlled opposition comes off like you're being a conspiracy theorist. Even if it's true, if you don't have evidence of that, if you don't got DMs between Ludwig and MrBeast being like, dude, I got you, bro. Dude, I got you. Can I get $1 billion a Lambo, bro? I got you. Dogpack sucks. If you don't have evidence of that, then this just doesn't really look good for a vast majority of people. Not too long after this back and forth in the comments, they jump onto a Discord call together.
Okay, Dawson, you It's great to meet you. I'm Ludwig.
I know you.
Have we met?
No, I just know that you're the guy who cheats in video games.
Okay, whoa. Whoa. First off, just want to address that. I don't cheat in video games. I play video games very well. Sometimes people think I cheat in them. I don't know where you got that information. It's wrong.
It's a bit of a cold open from the both of them here. I'm going to show you a few more clips about it, but it's very much just kind of testing the waters. And I think Ludwig is making attempts to build rapport, trying to make Dogpack laugh, you know, just trying to build that rapport so that the next few questions that he's going to try to ask go over a bit better.
So when did the official contract start, I guess?
Whatever date they said is accurate.
Were you on shrooms?
No, not really.
Okay, no. You don't get away with that one. What does that mean? Most people are either on them or not on them. I've never been not really on shrooms.
No, truthfully, I wasn't on shrooms, but I was like pretending to be like a paranoid schizophrenic, like in that scene where I'm hiding under the bed. And then they kind of just took that and ran with it and said that I was erratic and on shrooms.
So you haven't done shrooms?
So in this back and forth, Dogpack is able to discern the fact that, number one, as Ludwig said, he didn't really go through like the Chucky thing. He barely recognizes and puts Chucky's name to what's going on. So just if we're coming from the perspective of Dogpack, Ludwig has made very clear in the last, 10, 15 minutes that he's barely even watched Dogpack's video, and he is vaguely familiar with Chucky trying to respond back and refute the claims that Dogpack had made. At this point, I wouldn't blame Dawson for a little bit of frustration when he's being asked things like this, because he's being asked about this shrooms thing a ton. And yeah, his sarcasm didn't land, but for the sake of, having a good public image, which I would figure would be the goal when you're trying to prove claims like this, Ludwig asks, hey, were you taking shrooms during the video? Dawson says no. And then Ludwig follows up, have you taken shrooms? I get that maybe he's just in journalist brain right now and is just asking questions for the sake of an interview. But looking at it from Dawson's perspective, this sounds like a setup. This sounds like, okay, if I admit to the fact that I have taken shrooms, which he already has in the past additionally, but if he admits to it in here, it could lead down a line of questioning like, how often have you taken them? Trying to pigeonhole him into, well, maybe he's just a crazy person hallucinating. I can see how Dawson starts thinking down that route, and that maybe Ludwig is setting him up in some way to paint him in a bad light. From my perspective, I think, general audience perspective in regard to this, that seems more like a conspiracy theory than what could actually be happening. Character assassinations, giving people a line of questions that is more difficult to answer, that is commonplace. We see it with our presidential elections here in the US. It is something that does happen. But from our perspective, for people that do not deal with this, it seems a lot more far-fetched because we're not looking for it. All that to say, I don't know if Ludwig was trying to set him up for that. I'm not going to make that assumption, but I also don't blame Dawson for getting a little hesitant to respond.
Sorry, I was getting water. What'd you say?
Okay, no, that was weird. You're fucking with me right now.
You haven't even watched the video, dude. Go watch the video. Call me after,
in my chat.
Yeah, I'll be here. I'll be watching.
I have questions.
Okay.
The yacht thing.
Yeah.
So the way I'm understanding it is did you work on that video or are you going off the video?
You are controlled opposition.
What does that mean?
It means you're trying to get me to reveal confidential information and break my NDA.
I don't know what your NDA is. I'm trying to ask questions about the freaking thing.
Oh, you know what an NDA is?
Yeah, but I don't know what your NDA covers. Okay, what should I not ask you?
About any videos that I worked on.
Can I know what videos you worked on so I don't ask questions about them? Or if you're okay, so then I just can't ask you anything.
Well, ask me anything. I'm an open book.
No, you're not.
Okay, at this point, I think Dawson is just kind of irritated about the fact that Ludwig really hasn't seen much of this content and feels like he's making assumptions or talking or trying to make points that are ill-advised. He doesn't have a lot of the info, and I think Dawson is frustrated by that fact. So he's giving him a little bit of pushback, and then he calls him controlled opposition, which again, it's not a good look. Yes, technically, Ludwig understands NDAs, but when we get into situations like this, Occam's razor, really love this bad boy. The problem-solving principle that recommends searching for explanations constructed with the smallest possible set of elements. So in this situation, we have two routes to go. Either Ludwig is controlled opposition, where Mr. Beast or, he has interest in the Mr. Beast company and is being told to act like this, behave in a way to make Dogpack look bad. and he's asking questions to try to get Dogpack to break NDA. That's our first potential reasoning. Or the second idea, Ludwig, as he's behaved in this video, doesn't really know much about what's going on. So at a first glance, as a journalist, he's going to ask a lot of questions, and he's just asking things, not really thinking about the fact that maybe there's an NDA. In my head, it just makes sense that Ludwig is just asking questions. And like he said, he doesn't know what the NDA is about. How can he be expected to just understand what he can and can't ask?
Position, because I did ask you something.
Okay.
So how do I ask a question without making you break the NDA that I can't know about?
Bro, you gotta be good at reading context clues, honestly.
Like the context clues of this conversation or the video?
Both. You're a theater kid, right?
No. I was an athlete in high school.
No, you're a theater kid. Be honest.
I did one musical. I was an athlete. I was varsity soccer for 2 years. I'm a Red Bull athlete now, buddy. Okay?
Okay, so you're a theater kid. So you should be able to tell when I'm joking and when I'm acting and when I'm being serious.
I literally, and I mean this so genuinely, have zero idea. I feel like at all times, there's like an air of troll, but I can never tell when you're serious.
I think he's being honest about that, and I don't blame him. I do think that Dawson has a lot of dry sarcasm. I think he's made the choice to start being oppositional with Ludwig and saying things like this. And usually you don't see people acting this kind of way when they throw out allegations like he has in his video. So I don't blame Ludwig for not picking up on that immediately.
I took an autism test once, but
I think I saw that. You took it on stream, right? Yeah.
Wait, you're a viewer?
Yeah, of course.
What do you mean, of course? I didn't know that. This you haven't chatted in my chat ever until today.
Well, it's a new account.
Oh, okay. What's your main account? Did you have like YouTube videos on it?
No. I don't want to like promote my shit. That's like the whole point of this is the video's not monetized. It's on a new account.
Wait, what do you mean that's the whole point? You didn't say that.
Like, you know, in the description of my video, it says, or in the intro too, it says this is not monetized. Because if it's monetized, then people think I'm just doing it for clout and money.
But you're doing it to expose the truth on woke media.
Exactly.
I know that Ludwig just watched the video, which makes this feel like so much worse because he includes that, again, in his intro and his description, that's the point. He says he's not doing it for money and clout, but he has gotten a significant amount of clout. So I don't really think don't think that you can really, you know, defend that. But he can defend, he hasn't monetized it. For what it's worth, he has stayed consistent on that fact.
And I can't ask you about the videos but you talked about it in the video, so you can talk about it.
Yeah, but everything in the video is public information.
Right. But the yacht wasn't.
What do you mean?
Well, like the idea that they went on a yacht's not public info.
Well, if they're not on the raft and they're in the middle of the ocean, where else would they be?
Taking a swim.
In the middle of the night or at 4 a.m.?
Just a night dip real quick. Couple buoys.
It could be.
Okay, so you're assuming based off the screenshot, because they weren't in it, that they must have been off the boat, presumably in a yacht that I guess the crew who was helping produce this video was on, that was parked off camera nearby, and this is like a theory about it.
You're definitely controlled opposition.
Is that not?
So what I said earlier about Dawson getting frustrated and telling him that he needs to work on his context clues, I see why he said that. Obviously, what he's talking about right now in regard to the raft video, if they weren't in the tent that they were in and that they had stayed in there overnight, but they actually hadn't, where else could they have been? They had to have been on a boat. It was either that or they were on shore somewhere, but they like went out in the middle of nowhere to do this, I believe. I understand that Ludwig, for the sake of like journalistic integrity, since they don't know where they were, they can't just say, well, they were conclusively on a boat, even though that logically, that is the only thing that makes sense.
You just said? Or do you have like someone who knows that there was a yacht and you can't say it?
All right, go next.
Like, go next question?
Yeah.
I can't. You're just skipping everything and then calling me autistic.
Well, because you can't read context clues. It's not my fault.
No, you have a tone of voice that is impossible to tell when you're trolling. Many people thought you did mushrooms. They were in my chat saying it.
Yeah, so at this point, I think Dawson is kind of tired or more annoyed than he is willing to really talk with Ludwig. He kind of starts getting a bit more oppositional, and you'll see it here.
Honestly, don't, because you posted cease and desist D's nuts and you acted like it wasn't a big deal.
Yes, because I worked with my lawyer on the video, and it's very much just public information.
So it's basically like you have to make sure the information you release is controlled. And so
No, I
I
can say whatever I
can't.
want.
Well, you can't do whatever you want because you can't answer questions I ask you unless they are approved by your lawyer.
No, I'll answer anything, but just don't ask questions that I can't answer.
So yeah, he's just being a little trolly, and it's not, at this point, it's just kind of like, okay, well, what are we actually going to be able to get out of this? You know, very clearly leaning more into like, I don't really have to answer questions for you. I'm not a fan of what's going on right now. But if you do ask questions that I can talk about that I feel are more important, I will answer them. I don't blame him for thinking that type of way, but again, I don't think it makes him look great for being a little stinker about his NDA and what's going on.
Nah, you're definitely a Ludwig viewer. You're too dumb to not be a Ludwig viewer. Are you fucking with me here? What do we do? My brain hurts in this conversation.
Dude, watch the video and then call me.
I don't think I can. There's no point because at the end you're just gonna do the same thing.
No. I'll answer at the end.
All right, Dawson.
So that is the end of their conversation. They end up closing things off. Ludwig pretty much tells Dawson that he doesn't really see a point in them, you know, conversing after he's watched the entire video because he feels like Dawson's just gonna act the same way, which he's probably right about. I want to get this out of the way real quick. I'm a big fan of Ludwig. Matter of fact, he's the reason that I started this channel to begin with and had the inspiration to do it from his video about how to become a streamer. I sent a cringy ass email to him talking about how I was gonna make it big. Even with that bias, I don't think that Ludwig did a fantastic job with this interview. And obviously, based on my YouTube channel, I've got a little bit of a bias with Dogpack as well, but I don't think he handled this well either. And they part ways. Ludwig goes on to watch the video, kind of focus more on like the false advertisement claims and more of the legality of it. And then he goes on and then watches like the Penguin Zero Sneeko debate. People were not big fans of how Ludwig handled this because number one, you can fault him to a point for being a content creator and not covering this information, but that only goes so far. The dude has a life. In all honesty, I don't think he should have really been doing the interview if he wanted to get more out of this. If it was just for the sake of having the attention of this guy being on the stream, great, but he didn't have the prior knowledge. And if you're doing an interview as a journalist, usually you're going to have the questions, you're going to have done research on the person you're talking to, and it's very evident he wasn't. And I think that's where a lot of frustration from Dawson comes from, and what enables the ideas that this is forced opposition or that this is some like, you know, setup and he's working with Mr. Beast to make him look bad. It makes sense why, based on how Ludwig spoke to him and the questions he asked, why he'd think that. For me personally, I really just think Ludwig wasn't informed about it, jumped on the possibility of getting to chat with Dawson and have an interview. There's a lot of reasons why he'd want to do that. And then at the end of the day, because he really hasn't deeply researched this, he takes the rest of the stream to make some pretty like lukewarm opinions on everything and doesn't make any big claims about what's going on. Should we be upset at him for that? No, he made it pretty damn clear that for the most part, he doesn't know what's going on. And it only lines up with Ludwig's past behavior that he wants to make sure that he knows what's going on before he makes a judgment call. That's what he does. Obviously, he's made mistakes in the past. You're gonna make mistakes as a journalist. It happens. It ended up being pretty sloppy, and Dawson in turn didn't really come out of that with anything else gained either. And if anything, he probably worsened his public image more than it benefited him in this given situation. But that's all that I plan to cover today. If you guys are interested in seeing an analysis on the interview with Cheeto or with Oompaville, let me know in the comments. If you really liked the content and the way I digested it and spat it into your little bird mouths below me, then consider getting a membership and becoming a Goofy Goober. I don't have a better name for it right now, I'm sorry. It gives you a bunch of perks and I'll shout you out at the end of the video like I'm doing right here. Shout out to my mom and Bosu. You guys are my members. Thank you. All right, I'll see you guys. Adios, bye.